It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Caligiero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, blah, 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 blah. Whenever you're watching, whenever you're listening, I hope you're doing all right. Today's show, she's being brought to you in a part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant. I'm donning the shirt today. Located on beautiful St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out his website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simon's to get a decent slice of pizza. And I'm going there next week. I'm going to be there all next week. Sal and I are working on a secret project that we're going to be announcing pretty soon. Maybe even next week. Well, not next week, the week after. Yeah. I'm losing track of the days. But stay tuned for that. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage, The Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. You can get a copy by going to Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. Find out why we got a 5 star rating across the board. And if you're looking to get a signed copy, don't worry about it. Just visit my website, www.billycboxing.com. That's all. I'm not going to, you know what? Today we're going to go with only the bare minimum commercials that we got to do. You know, we do have to take our breaks, but it is what it is. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk a lot about, listen, this is our last show for the week. So we are not doing a live show tomorrow. We're off all next week because Sal and I are working on a secret project. And we will be back for our Sergey Kovalev, Adrien Broner rematch post-fight show. That's going to be taking place Saturday on June 17th. So we will be here approximately 6 minutes after the official decision is rendered. So make sure you're tuning in here. So today, on today's show, we do have some boxing news to talk about, but we are going to donate or dedicate. Oh, God, I didn't have enough coffee today. I need one of Sal's Gigantor mugs of coffee. But today, we're going to dedicate the show mostly to breaking down and giving you our predictions on the Sergey Kovalev Adrien Broner rematch. Now, also joining Sal and myself will be Dax Khan a little bit later, and I do have some other stuff to talk about. But first, let's bring my man on with me. Joining me right now from St. Simon's is the man, the myth, the legend himself. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sal Rocky Cenicola. What's up, Sal?
Billy C, how are you today, man?
I'm getting ready to hop in the old truckster and come on down, like Monty used to say. Come on down.
Come on down. Yeah. We got a whole bunch of people who are waiting to see you, and you're gonna have a warm reception here.
Oh God, is it gonna be too hot? How hot is it gonna be?
Well, it's gonna be about 95 degrees, but I'm gonna have a lot of people. I got to pay a lot of people to come in and see you.
You got it. Oh, you got. No. Oh yeah, that's the only way. That's the only way they're gonna come. Hey, that's the only way they're going to come
really
and see me. You got to open up your checkbook. Hey, listen, I'll give you a true. But when I see all the people coming in dressed in tattered clothes, I'll be like, oh, God. What are you doing? Giving them a sip of Ripple to come in and just say hello to Billy C? I mean, come on, man.
No, I'm teasing. We got a lot of people that are excited to see you coming in. And they've been hearing our show, and they say, wow, we're going to stop by and see Billy. I said, that's great. Come on by.
Come on by. Just great. Let me know when you're going to come by, and Sal won't be there. No, but wait, I'm hoping that people that watch us on a regular basis come on down and not only hang out with us, but taste the food I've been bragging about, so you better be on your A game. But hopefully, last time we were saying that, my man Coach pops in. Remember Coach
pops in. I couldn't believe it. Here he comes down. What, about 1,000 miles, 1,200 miles, whatever it was.
Yeah, he saved up. He used the bathroom. He was starving. Him and his beautiful wife. They came by and they enjoyed themselves. That was for one of the fights, right? When we had one of the fights.
I thought that might have been from. I don't know if it was for the Mayweather fight. I think it was for the Mayweather-Pacquiao. Was it? Could it have been that long ago? Or was it possibly oh, gosh. Could have been for the, who do I like?
Triple G?
What's the other fight?
Triple G fight?
Who?
Triple G
It
fight?
could have been for the Triple G fight. Yeah, I think it was for the Triple G fight. It was either Pacquiao or Triple G.
Yeah.
No, because I know when we had Pacquiao and Mayweather, we had all the sports celebrities down. We had a great night of action-packed, almost bar-side fights. But we had a great contingency. I mean, we had football stars, we had fighting stars, and it was a good night.
We had fights.
Ray Mercer was there. Ray Mercer, man, he's as big as in life in person as he is in the ring, and he's just jovial and happy. And he brought his father, I believe, down. And then we had Michael Moore down, and we had Tim Hightower, we had Plexico Burris, we had a lot of great fighters.
Yeah, Plexico.
A lot of great football players too.
Thank God Plexico didn't shoot himself in the leg while he was.
No, well, he checked his gun in at the door.
Yeah. Coach is in the chat room telling us, reminding us that it was for Thurman Porter.
That's what I thought, Thurman Porter. That's
it
was for Thurman Porter.
The funny thing is didn't you just have to wake up the last person that was still sleeping during the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight? Didn't you just have to escort them out of there?
We did. They were.
They were soundly sleeping after that one. But anyway, I got some stuff that we're going to get out of the way before we start talking about Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev, and give everybody our breakdowns and predictions. But Adrien Broner against Mikey Garcia, that fight is set for Saturday, July 29th. Will take place on Showtime. I got some quotes from these guys. I'm telling you, I need one of your mugs.
Absolutely.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Adrien Broner says, this is typical Adrien Broner, right? He says, I've done a lot. I've done a lot in this sport already at such a young age. I've watched Mikey Garcia come up before, and at the same time I came up, I always wanted to fight the best fight the best, and that's what's going on today. This fight is going to be a tremendous fight, and I'm bringing my A game. I know a lot of people are probably counting me out. He says, making the weight is not going to be a problem. My last fight, coming from 180 pounds, I kept my weight down, and I've actually been trying to fight somebody earlier than July, but since it's in July, I've kept my body in okay shape, and I won't have the problem making the weight. Anybody is a puncher, whether it all hurts. He says, I'm one to tell the truth. I don't want to get hit by nobody. I don't care if it's Paulie Malignaggi. I don't want to feel none of their punches. Interesting, and as bad as Adrien Broner is in terms of just his persona, He is being honest, and I'm a little surprised he's he's admitting to blowing up to over 180 pounds, Sal. I mean, this fight's gonna be a junior welterweight fight. The contract is 140 pounds, of course. What's your thoughts? I mean, I know that's one of your pet peeves about fighters that balloon up between fights.
I mean, how long ago was he 180 pounds? And guess what? What's documented? I mean, he could say he was 190 pounds. Who's going to check? I mean, it could be part of smoke and mirrors. It could be part of rhetoric. It could be anything he wants it to be. And if he was 180 pounds, then he's got to tear that off. And hopefully he's done it right and slow and not just liquid weight and all that other stuff. So, I mean, you could balloon up. I fought as a lightweight, 135 pounds. I went up in between fights. You got your incentive and your reward. You got your incentive to get down in shape and everything else. And, I stayed pretty much 90% of the time around that weight where you could maybe go up to 145 and lose 10 quick or something like that. But once in a while, if I did let myself go, I'd go up to 154, maybe one time touch 160. But I'd get right back in the gym, and I knew it was just bloated water weight, as we say, gavone or cafone weight, and being a Slav and just eating and drinking everything. But you don't do that often. You have the incentive reward. You get your ice cream and then you go back in the gym and it's all off.
You don't do that very often. Speak for yourself. I do. That's
you
why,
do. Even now I'm solid and I'm in decent shape. And when I made that comeback fight a couple of years ago, I lost about 35, 40 pounds, and I could do that tomorrow. Not in one day. I mean, I just know my body. My body is still, I could drop 20, 30 pounds if I have to.
Yeah.
And I will. In fact, I'm going to get ready for this summer.
When you lose 20, 30 pounds, I usually find it pretty quick, But
See, it's a trade-off,
Yeah.
Hey, I got some pounds for you, pal.
Yeah. I don't know. I got to give Broner some credit here. Every time I talk about Broner, especially to Larry Hazard, he's always like, well, Billy, usually we agree a lot, but I disagree. I never thought nothing of Adrien Broner. I did. I thought that when he came out, when he busted out onto the scene as a lightweight, I loved watching him. He was exciting. He wasn't afraid to get in there and fire from the pocket. He had it all, and it just seems that when he tried to emulate Floyd Mayweather, I mean, everything went downhill. He started moving up in weight too quick. I think it was a result of his lack of dedication, and maybe his body just physically couldn't make the weight anymore. Fine. I mean, that's what happens. But his performances started to go down as well. And his career, although he keeps talking about Adrien Broner, AB, not standing for Adrien Broner, standing for about billions. I'm not so sure. This could be a big fight for him to turn his career around and get it back going into the direction that he thinks it already is. Unfortunately for Adrien Broner, he's going to be in there with a pretty tough character with Mikey Garcia, a guy that I absolutely love to watch. I mean, he's a blue-collar fighter, Sal. I've said it all the time. Bring your lunch pail to the gym and get to work, and that's what Mikey Garcia does. And, I know this fight isn't for another month, but I'm looking forward to it, man.
Oh, me too. And Mikey Garcia is just what you said he is. He's a no bull, all business kind of fighter, and that's what I like and I respect a lot. And I think he's going to do very well in this fight.
Yeah, well, I got some quotes from him too. But first, we got to take the first of our 4 breaks. So let's get that one out of the way, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes. All right.
You got it. I need a refill anyway.
All right, we'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. And this is our last show, programming note. This is our last show for a little over a week. We will be back for the Billy C. Sergey Kovalev, Adrien Broner post-fight show, which will be taking place approximately 6 minutes as soon as the official decision is made. So make sure you tune it in here. We will be down in St. Simon's Island all next week filming I shouldn't have even said that. We're going to be doing some special stuff, Sal and I. And speaking of Sal, he's with me right now. Man, hey, I almost, You almost
let the cat out of the bag,
Let that cat out of the bag. No wonder what the screaming is going on. But Mikey Garcia, Adrien Broner, we were talking about that before we went to break. Mikey Garcia, he says it's the biggest fight available for me right now. That line says a lot. Basically, that's what I love about Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia never... You never rile this guy up, man, and, Adrien Broner, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and Mike goes, well, it's the biggest fight available to me right now, I'm going to bring my lunch pail and go in and take care of business. He says, originally my plan was to unify the titles at 135, but that wasn't available. I would look at a big name to defend my title at lightweight, but that wasn't available. Broner is much bigger than me. He's got a bigger name, and he's a bigger star who has accomplished a lot in the sport, so it just made sense to go and pursue the Broner fight rather than a regular title defense. He says, I would love to come back down to lightweight and unify the titles or defend my title before making a permanent move, which is also interesting that he's saying that he's moving up for this fight and don't necessarily count him out of the lightweight division. He says, but because this fight was available right now and it's a much bigger fight than anyone else had at the lightweight division, like I mentioned, that's why we're moving up to 140. If unification matches are available at 135 later, then that's what I'm going to go after. He says, I feel that I'm a slightly better boxer, just a little bit better than he is. I've just got to prove it on the 29th. I did tell you that he loses he's lost and I don't lose. That's where I have the confidence. I don't believe anyone around my division can beat me right now, and I don't think Adrien Broner is going to be the one to give me those kinds of problems. We're going to be obviously training hard to prepare for this fight. We can't take him lightly, but I still believe very, very strongly that I'm the better fighter. Confidence is key. This is a pretty even fight, I think, Sal. To be honest with you, I think it's a pretty even fight. I love Mikey Garcia, but Adrien Broner obviously possesses a skill set that may very well give Mikey Garcia problems. Right off the bat, the size difference. Broner is a bigger guy. He does have hand speed. He's displayed that he's got a solid chin. And Mikey Garcia, although I feel he's a technically sound fighter, may have some problems. I'm looking forward to this. This is one of those fights, when you put the personal, opinions aside, maybe you like one fighter better than the other, maybe because of their, mannerisms or persona. It is a tough fight to pick when you look at skill sets only, and that's what you should be looking at for fights. But what do you think?
I agree with you 100%, and I love what Mikey Garcia has to say. I don't think it was too grandioso or bragging. I think he is just speaking what he feels in his heart of hearts, and he is undefeated. He is a guy that comes to work and comes to do his display of skill and ability, and I think it's going to be a great fight. And we will probably see a pretty good Adrien Broner too. He's got to be in the right frame of mind, and he's got a fight to win, and that's what both these guys have to do. And it should be a good competitive bout. I'd like to see Mikey Garcia come out the victor. And I got a lot of people's names I've changed to Victor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, how many more? We look at fighters. Julio Cesar.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How many more chances are we going to give Adrien Broner?
Well, look at what I was just going to say is look at Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He's got more chances and more lives in boxing than Freddy Krueger had. But the truth of the matter is Adrien Broner, he's exhausted some chances too and some opportunities. So, this is a good opportunity for him. And a lot of people are saying stuff like they feel that this is a cash-out fight for Broner. So, really, he's got some stuff to prove as well. So, we'll see. We got that. We're looking forward to that. The big fight we're going to be talking about here in a couple of minutes, Adrien Ward against Sergey Kovalev, the rematch. I got some sports scores to get out of the way and a couple of emails first, and then we'll get into the breakdowns and predictions for Kovalev-Ward II. In the NBA last night, the Warriors beat the Cavaliers again, putting on a show at the end of the game, 118-113. They take a 3-0 lead in the NBA championship finals. It's a best of four. They need one more win to be crowned the NBA champions. And by the way, they did this in Cleveland last night. LeBron James still had a solid game, but still, it's tough to come back to win when you're down 3-0. It's tough. It's going to be a really tough road for the Cavaliers. Don't be surprised if the Warriors sweep them. Break out the brooms. In the Major League Baseball, Dodgers beat the Nationals 2-1. The Rockies beat the Indians 8-1. The Blue Jays over the A's 7-5. The Orioles over the Pirates 9-6 in 11 innings. The Yankees shut out the Red Sox, avenging a loss from the other day, 8-0. The Tigers beat the Angels. The Reds over the Cardinals 6-4. The Rays over the White Sox 3-1. The Braves put on a hitting display last night, 14-1 over the Phillies. Oh, my goodness. Stop the presses. The Mets won. The Mets won. They're amazing. Those amazing Mets. They won 4-3 over the Rangers. The Marlins beat the Cubbies 6-5. The Brewers over the Giants 6-3. Royals over the Astros 7-5. Diamondbacks 7-4 over the Padres. And the Mariners beat the Twins 6-5. We got a couple of emails. Let's get the first one out the way. This one's from our buddy Jesse. Sal, he says, hey, Billy C. and Sal, my picks for Kovalev and Ward. He says, I believe Kovalev is going to knock Ward out in the 8th round. He should throw more punches and move his head. Rigondeaux, majority decision over Moses. And Bivol stops Agnew via a TKO in 10. He says, and Luis Arias gets a unanimous decision over RF Magomedev. Some good picks there. I won't tell you what my thoughts are yet, Sal, because we'll be doing that here in a few minutes. But he says, I believe Vlad did do the right thing on picking up the rematch against Anthony Joshua. But I agree with you that probably the same thing is going to happen. But Sal's correct. Vlad should pressure Joshua and throw more punches. He says, Billy, will you be at the Turning Stone to watch Joel Diaz Jr. against Regis Prograis? Actually, I changed my plans. I will not be going up to the Hall of Fame at all this year. I got to there's too much stuff I got to do to prepare for what's happening next week in St. Simon. So, no, unfortunately, I won't be there. He says, what's your thoughts on John Fernandez, who's promoted by Sergio Martinez? Yeah, co-promotion, right? I don't know enough about Fernandez, but I will keep an eye on him. Thanks to you, Jesse, keeping me focused on other fights and fighters. I appreciate that. But what do you think of Jesse thinking that you were right? What did you send him a T-shirt or something that you were right about Vladimir Klitschko trying to put more pressure on Joshua? I mean, when he did put pressure on Joshua, it was successful in the last fight.
He was, and I think he's got to do that, and I think he's got to do it more so, magnified. And I think he's got to, be a bully in there, because I'll tell you what, I will not lose that image that I had when Anthony Joshua, I believe it was the 5th round, decided he's going to end this fight and charge after Kovalev. That was just interesting observation. He just went out there and boom, he did it. He just he just stopped to fill up the tank. He just forgot to do that because he punched himself out that first that round. But I think Kovalev's definitely got to do the pressure. He's got to cut the ring off. He's got to be a bully in that ring, which was going to bring us to our next fight that we got to talk about. But he's got to fight, and he's got to fight hard. He's got to be a bully. He's got to take it to Joshua, and he's got to really throw those punches in combinations. And if he has him hurt, he's got to step on the pedal.
I think that Vladimir Klitschko should. I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's such a perfectionist. I'm sure he's watched this fight 100,000 times. But you're right, and so is Jesse. The truth of the matter is he was successful when he was putting on pressure on AJ, and I think that I think that Klitschko, despite being the older guy, 41 years old, the truth of the matter is that he seemed like he was the guy in. I don't want to say it, but it's true. Like, he was in better shape. AJ was in great shape. It's just that he kept running out. Like, his wind was coming to him in spurts. Similar to the way Jean Pascal fights. That's the way the conditioning was coming to AJ. So if I'm Klitschko, I agree with you, Sal. You take advantage of that questionable conditioning and try and catch him. As he's refueling the tank, as you put it, maybe play a little. It's so dangerous with such a hard puncher like AJ. But if Klitschko plays a little possum for a little bit, hoping that AJ punches himself out and then launches an attack, I don't know. But that seems pretty risky, don't you think?
It may be, and I have to correct myself. I said Kovalev. It was Klitschko. I got my K's mixed up. But I'll tell you what. I want to see Klitschko warm up in that dressing room. I don't have to see that, but what I'm saying is he's gotta be warmed in that ring, and I think he should go into that fight and open that first round up like it's his 5th round. In other words, I think he should do a great warm up and ready to go, and he should bring the fight to AJ and really, really just jump on him and surprise him. And get him out of, he's going to have to get him out of first gear, AJ, right off the bell, and then just do it in a good fashion because he's got nothing to lose. He lost the first fight. He's going to go in for a rematch, And I think he should try and establish power and dominance right from the get-go. If he gets caught, we know what's going to happen. If he doesn't, he's gonna be dominant from the get-go and give AJ some reasons to think twice before he comes in.
No, you're right. Hey, listen, we're going to take another break. Then we got a couple emails to read. We'll start our breakdowns. We got Dax Khan coming up in about a half hour. All of that in about 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Tell me, Kenny, how is it you rub my belly so fine with that secret rub of yours? And don't even tell me what you're gonna do next. I love you, Kenny Bear. Tell me, Kenny baby, what you gonna do next?
Kenny Bear's Home Florida Barbecue Rub and Seasoning. Grab a bottle today.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us. And we're glad we're with you. Yeah. We're glad we're with you. Don't forget, we're doing Billy C's Adrien Broner, Sergey Kovalev rematch post-fight show. As soon as that fight is over, tune in right here on BillyCBoxing.com, on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Talkin' Boxing, TalkinBoxing, or any other TV station that you're watching us on, or a radio station you're listening to us on. It's going to be across the board. Every platform we have will have the post-fight show. So make sure you check it out. We open up the phone lines, and we'll be getting your thoughts after the anticipated rematch between Kovalev and Adrien Broner. I'm here with Sal Rocky Cenicola, and we are reading a couple of emails before we get into our breakdowns and predictions of the big fight between Ward and Kovalev. Sal, here's another one. This one's from actually Johnston, a guy who's got a column up on BillyCBoxing.com. He says, good morning, guys. He says, Lee Haskins defends his IBF World Bantamweight title against an Irishman. Ryan Burnett is in Belfast Saturday night. That's where the fight's going to be. He says, being on home soil, I think Burnett has a chance, but I think Lee Haskins will get a points victory. What do you think, and how would Haskins fare against WBO champ Zolani Teat? the WBC champ, Suzuki Yamanaka, and WBA champions, which is so funny. They give out belts you're giving out candy on Halloween. Zanat Zakyanov and Jamie McDonnell. I think first things first, Johnston, I think you're right. Burnett is going to be somewhat of a test for Haskins on Saturday as far as should he get by. Zolani Titi is a good fighter. I think that would be a really good matchup. Yamanaka, also a solid fight. I mean, it's a tough division. As far as Zakyanov and Jamie McDonnell. McDonnell's been around. He is always displayed, that he's a good champion. I don't know. I think it's a pretty tough division, to be honest with you. And I think we really have to look at his performance this weekend to really get a good gauge. So I think it's a wide open division, despite so many of them claiming to be the champion in the bantamweight division. He says, I would personally like to see Haskins against McDonnell with the winner taking on Teat. He says, I believe Teat and Zakyanov are the best two in the division, but Haskins and McDonnell would be tough opposition. He says, of course, we also have Rasheed Warren, who still has a lot to offer, and Yamanaka, who defends his title against Louis Neary in August. What was your idea on how to have a clear champion in every division? You mentioned a league. How would that work? Well, first of all, let me respond to you thinking that Teat and Zakyanov are the two best in the division. I don't know. The best way to define the best guy, the best way to find out who the best guy in the bantamweight division is what do you think, Sal? What's the best way to find out who the best one in the division is?
Title elimination.
Have them all fight each other. Have them all fight each other.
Fight each other.
I was waiting for you to say Jack Dempsey.
Jack Dempsey. Well, of course, Jack Dempsey would definitely settle it all.
Rasheed Warren, by the way, he's got a lot to go. He's I don't know. I'd like to see more from him. As far as a clear champion in every division, I mentioned the league. Listen, what I mentioned was I have the blueprint of how a boxing league could work, and we would end up crowning a champion in every division each year, and it would not interfere with the current championship, plethora of champions that are out there now by the sanctioning bodies. However, I'm not really divulging how that would work because you never know. I'd like to present that to somebody and get the league going, but the cooperation from everyone involved is key. If the fighters and the promoters and the managers and the sanctioning bodies aren't willing to do what would have to be done in order for this to work, then no, it won't work. Two more emails and we'll start breaking down the fight. First and foremost, this one's from my man Mitch. This is a this is a continuation of our discussion on Virgil Hunter. And how I personally think he's an overrated trainer, and my man Mitch, well, he's got some facts for us here. He says these are all fighters that Virgil has been added to their team. He says Abner Maris, and these are all after Virgil's became part of the team. He says Abner. Mitch makes a great point. So, regressed. He almost got Berto killed. 3 of Berto's 5 losses came since 2013, and his 2 wins over Josito Lopez and Steve Upshur Chambers were shaky. Amir Khan, he says, regressed. Some thought he lost to Algieri before he got knocked out by Canelo. Alfredo Angulo, he says he regressed and he shot, which is, I can't argue. He says Kareem Mayfield regressed, never, ever learned to use his left hand for anything. Fonfara, he says regressed, and he shot. That could be very well true. He says Mike Dallas Jr. regressed. However, after dropping Hunter for Batista, he won 2 in a row and got a disputed draw in which he really won against Dusty Harrison. Demetrius Andrade Well, the only debatable fight in Andre's career was a split decision win in 2013. Hunter was his trainer for 2013. Only one fight that he got a split decision win that some people thought he lost. He says Chaz Witherspoon, Virgil joined Chaz in 2012 and trained him for the worst loss in his career. He got knocked out by future Hall of Famer Seth Mitchell. He says, oh, wait, I meant future high school football Hall of Famer Seth Mitchell. If you guys recall, Seth Mitchell is not even fighting anymore. Great reminder from my man Mitch of some of the so-called trained fighters by Hunter. And this is a guy that I think is the overrated. And thank you for giving us some of the data. And final email, this one's from Raheem, your boy Raheem. He says, hey, Billy C and Sal. He says, Raheem here. Yeah, I know, Raheem, I know. He says, my pops and I would like to know who you and Sal think of the boxers today and ones in the past are best at working the body and who were known for knockouts to the body. My pop says he thinks today's fighters lack body work. I know for Raheem, he says, for me, Miguel Cotto was great at the body shops, but not so much now. And do you and Sal have any good stories about boxing from your days when you received a body shot and how it felt and how to overcome the pain? I saw on YouTube De La Hoya take a body shot from Hopkins, but a lot of my friends think that fight was fixed. First and foremost, I don't think that fight was fixed at all. I think that fight is a great indication of what happens when you get rocked to the body. You just can't continue. Your mind is trying to get you up, but you're paralyzed for a couple seconds. As far as body workers, body shot guys in the past, Julio Cesar Chavez, obviously one of the top. McCallum, the body snatcher, another one. Who comes to mind for you, Sal?
Roberto Duran comes to mind.
Yep.
And I think he definitely was very effective to the body. And I think Marvin Hagler also threw some good body shots. I'll tell you, I still, I was not a very, very big fan of Jerry Cooney, and I used to train next to him in Gleason's gym when he was trained by Victor Valley. But Jerry's a nice guy. I mean, aside from that. And but I always rooted for Jerry. And when I saw him fight Kenny Norton, and he destroyed Kenny Norton, I think it was a left hook to the liver, and Kenny's back was on the ropes, and I just have that image in my mind right now. Jerry Cooney used a left hook to the body of Kenny Norton, and that was it. Kenny Norton folded in half, went down, and I'd have to say, in my mind right there, that was one of the most devastating, best thrown body shots that I've seen in a top fight. And like I said, he won by a knockout. And he just bent over Kenny Norton with a body shot.
Well, guy we talked about yesterday, Rocky Graziano.
With a great body punch.
He was... and I do agree with Raheem's pops that, the body work from fighters today is non-existent and extinct. But maybe the reason isn't so much the fighters' faults. Maybe the reason is the referee's faults, because we talk about this all the time. Whenever you see a fighter that gets in close, the referee comes and breaks them apart. The art of infighting is virtually extinct. And when you got guys like Floyd Mayweather and Andre Ward who hold and run and do the style that a lot of young people actually mistakenly referred to as the sweet science, that added to it too. They want the referee to break it up. No, Floyd Mayweather doesn't want to get into an infight because he knows he can't survive like that. So he holds and or runs, and same thing with Ward. So a lot of it isn't the fighter's fault. It's the way referees ref the fights today. What do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the referees. Right now, because infighting was allowed a lot more. It was more relaxed stuff, and the guys usually did what they had to do, whether they held, whether they tried to jockey for position. I use that term, and let their free hand go, and chop away or whatever it was. There seemed to be a better environment for infighting to occur in the decades past. I'm curious too. I wonder what the difference is today with some of these fighters coming in with these extra large protective cups and their trunks pulled up over that, and what it was compared to 40, 50 years ago with the smaller protective cups and the waistbands and the shorts maybe being held right on them or lower or whatever. Who knows? So I'd like to see how much of the range of inches might have been eliminated by some of the protective cups and the shorts being pulled up over those today.
Yeah, the way
versus yesterday. They're wearing high waters today. Some of these guys.
Yeah, the way I'm not going to mention his name, but the way the referee wears his pants, he uses his belt and for a tie, he wears them up so high. All right, let's get going with I got some other stuff to talk about, but you know what? We're killing time here. We're not killing time. We're wasting time. Yeah. Kovalev-Ward II. Some quotes yesterday. Dax is going to be joining us here in about 15 minutes and give us some more quotes from the conference call yesterday. But Kovalev said, this training camp, we deleted all my mistakes from the last fight, and we're doing good. He says, I think right now is much better, and right now training camp is going great. Everything is good, and we'll see on June 17th. He says, everything depends from my preparation, how I get in the best shape for this fight, and I'm trying to get in the best shape now. We could see what happens on June 17th. I don't know how exactly the fight's going to be by decision or somebody stopping each other. Let's just see. I don't have a prediction. I just have one goal, and that's to beat Adrien Broner and beat the S.O.G, and then the last one, out of him, because he doesn't deserve the belt and the status of being called a champion. He now really walks around with his nose high in the air and don't even see people around him. I want to put him back in his place. Adrien Ward, as far as the quote I have from him, he seems to be hung up on the fact that people are suggesting that he's using performance-enhancing drugs. And he's commented on it. He says, I've been tested at least 5 times this camp, which kind of makes me wonder. I've been tested at least 5 times. You should know how many times you've been tested. I'm a little nervous about that comment, but whatever. He says, I don't know what people might be reading, but with all due respect, there's lies on the internet. Whoa.
Oh, hey.
Are you kidding me? I thought everything on the internet was true, Andre. You're just as smart as you think you are, huh? Oh, I see. He says, the desire's still there, and I'm not getting hit with punches I hadn't been getting hit with or anything like that. I can't really deny or disagree with Sergey Kovalev. Adrien Ward is the biggest diva in boxing. He doesn't really, he shouldn't really be a diva because although he was, in my opinion, the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world during the Super 6, that was 6 years ago. And I don't believe that he won the first fight against Kovalev, although I can't call it a robbery because the fight was close. If I recall, I had it even with the exception of the knockdown. And I thought the knockdown made the fight. So let's get into it right now. Sergey Kovalev, former world light heavyweight champion. I refer to him as a light heavyweight champion because, and just like I referred to Adrien Ward as the current world light heavyweight champion, I do not put Adonis Stevenson in that mix because Adonis Stevenson has not fought the level of opposition that Kovalev has. I give Adrien Ward credit for being the champion because he beat Kovalev. Whether I agreed with the decision or not, it's the official decision. Kovalev did have the WBA, IBF, and WBO world titles. His last fight, he lost a decision to Adrien Ward, a unanimous decision, which I thought was complete BS. I also thought that the last round easily was Kovalev's. The last 2 rounds were easily Kovalev's. And all the judges scored that last round for Adrien Ward, which, that stunk. That stunk in more ways than one. Sergey Kovalev, he's ranked number 2 in the world by the computer. He's 34 years old, 6 foot tall, 72.5-inch reach. We know his level of opposition. His last fights, Adrien Ward, Isaac Chilimba, Jean Pascal, Muhammad Ali, Jean Pascal, Bernard Hopkins, Blake Caparello, Cedric Agnew, Nathan Cleverly, etc., etc. Fought everybody that's available in that division. You look at Andre Ward. He's currently the world light heavyweight champion, in my opinion. WBA, IBF, WBO, all 3 titles he won from Sergey Kovalev. He was also a former world super middleweight champion. And like I said, during the Super 6 tournament, I felt that Andre Ward was the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world over Floyd Mayweather. And the reason was because he fought the much stiffer opposition when he was a super middleweight. When he became a light heavyweight, not so much. He's been picking and cherry-picking and really full of himself. He's 33 years old. He's ranked number 1 by the computer. So we have number 1 fight, number 2. You can't ask for better than that. 1 year younger than Kovalev. Same height, 6 foot. But he's got a 1-inch reach disadvantage compared to Kovalev. In his last fight, he did win over Kovalev to win the titles. Unanimous decision. I disagree, but it was a close fight. Before that, he had some easy fights. Alexander Brand, not ready for a major fight. Sullivan Barrera. Paul Smith was a complete joke of a fight. Edwin Rodriguez was nothing more than a punching bag. Chad Dawson was spent. You got to go all the way back, and that was in 2012. You got to go all the way back to 2011, 6 years ago, when he fought Carl Froch and won the Super 6 tournament. My opinion on Andre Ward is he just hasn't been busy enough. Now, as far as the fight itself, this fight, the first fight, I give Andre Ward a lot of credit because I feel that Andre Ward engaged with Kovalev in the first fight, something I wasn't thinking that he was going to do. I thought that he would, run and hold and do what he does. But he did engage. He also realized that Kovalev can punch pretty hard, and he also, for some reason, felt that he could put out Kovalev and try to bang with Kovalev, which he realized was a mistake when he kissed the canvas. What does he got to do in the second fight? Well, I don't think he's going to engage in this fight. I think that Andre Ward is going to try to run, or you could call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it running, but he's going to try to implement more movement in this fight. I do expect him to make it more of a boring fight. I think that Andre Ward wants to slow the tempo down. I think that Andre Ward is going to try to go back to what he does best. He's going to clinch. He's going to hold. He's going to try to work the body, but waiting for the referee to break it up. I think the referee is going to play an important role in this fight to see if they fight, let them fight, or if they're going to favor towards Andre Ward. I have this feeling that Andre Ward is the favorite in terms of who the powers in boxing want to see win, which I think is unfair. As far as Kovalev, well, Sergey Kovalev, I think he's stronger. I think that in the first fight, he didn't cut the ring off right. He let Ward dictate how that fight went. Basically, Andre Ward had Kovalev following him around that ring like a puppy dog. And Sergey Kovalev can't let that happen in this fight. He's got to cut the ring off, and he's got to make it a tough, rough and tumble fight. Not that I support illegal tactics or anything like that, but I do believe that it's important for Kovalev to be rough in this fight. If it means hitting him below the belt a couple of times, by accident, of course, then so be it. But he's got to be in the face of Andre Ward. If Andre Ward is holding him, then he's got to rip a page out of the Mike Tyson book. Try to bend his elbow, break his friggin' elbow if he has to. He has to make it rough. If Kovalev can make this fight a rough and tumble fight, get Andre Ward out of his comfort zone, then he's got a chance. If he follows Ward around this ring like he did the first time, the same result is going to happen. My official, and one thing I want to mention, in ERA, a couple of days ago, I was misinformed and then conveyed that on this show. My man John David Jackson is still Kovalev's trainer. Somewhere along the line, I was misinformed and thought that he had left. I did not think he went and joined Ward's camp, but a lot of that news came out that they were trying to get him to go over there, et cetera, and John David Jackson squashed those rumors. My official prediction in this fight, Sergey Kovalev. I think Sergey Kovalev is going to win this fight. I think he is going to fight the game plan that I suggest. I think that he is going to make it a rough and tumble fight. He's going to try to bring it to Ward, and he's going to be successful. Ward thinks who he is, and remember who's in his corner, Virgil Hunter. Once Ward can't handle it himself, Virgil Hunter has no instruction. He's a Zen master in his mind, and we all saw what happened to Fonfara. I'm not suggesting that the same thing will happen to Ward, but I'm picking Kovalev. And I'm picking him by stoppage because he won't win by decision. If this fight goes to the scorecards, regardless of who wins, Ward will win. Unfortunately, that's the way it is because we have corrupt judging in the sport of boxing. My official pick, Kovalev by stoppage. Sal, your thoughts, my man?
The same. Jack Dempsey.
Hey, Jack Dempsey.
I'll tell you what, Billy, you dissected, analyzed, and pretty much relayed a lot of what or conveyed a lot of what I feel. We did talk off the air about it yesterday, and we both agree that Kovalev has got to be a bully in that ring. He's got to be nasty. He's got to be who he is. He's got to be dominant. He's got to be strong. He's got to be like a bull. And again, a lot of time. But then we sit and we have our mind to the groove. I think all that preparation in the locker room, I think, again, Kovalev's got to come out warm, like he's going into the third, fourth round. I watched that fight again, and Kovalev, I think, was so dominant in the early rounds, and he dropped Ward with that right hand in the second round. And at that moment, I didn't think Ward was going to see the sixth round, but to his credit, he came back. I could almost analogize this fight and look at it as this was knowing their two styles and how they fought. This was almost a 30-pound heavier fight of looking at Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran, the first fight. Now, with that being said, like you're suggesting, I think Andre Ward is going to try to move a little bit more like Duran and Leonard started to move around Duran the second fight. I think that's what we can expect from Andre Ward. Kovalev's got to be a bully in that ring. And you're right. He followed Kovalev around that ring like a puppy dog. And he can't do that.
No, you meant Kovalev followed Ward around.
That's what I meant. Thank you for correcting me. I was seeing it in my mind. That the names would change to protect the innocent.
To protect the innocent.
Or protect the obvious. But anyway, I'm telling you right now. Kovalev followed Andre Ward around that ring like a puppy dog, and I was fighting myself. When I'm saying, no, don't do this, no, cut that ring off, go this. You know, it's just amazing because these are fundamental instructions you learn at an early age. And when I saw him, he started fighting Andre Ward's fight. When you see a fighter doing that, you're fighting your opponent's fight, and he cannot do that. He's got to go out there and be dominant. And now, I'll tell you another thing. Andre Ward, in his heart of hearts, in his lone time, he's got to feel that he had luck on his side that night, and he has got to know that in his heart of hearts that he did get the blessing of the three judges. And nothing, if I was Kovalev, I would insist on international judges. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought all three judges were from the United States, including the referee. I think I would suggest to have some international judges present at this fight as well. I don't think he should leave it to the judges. I would like to see Kovalev go out there, be dominant, cut the ring off on him, and I saw a couple of times Andre Ward would paw his jab. He'd throw it effectively and he would use it, but a lot of times he would just paw to either get his range or do this. If I was Kovalev, I'd look at time and slap that hand down and come over the hand with a right. He's got to throw some right leads, but he can't just throw one punch at a time. That's another thing he did. Same thing like Klitschko did, one punch at a time. Kovalev's got to throw combinations. He's got to throw that right, whether it's a right lead, he's got to come back with a hook, boom, boom. And he's got to throw combinations. And he's got to work the body and the head. He's got to cut the ring off, and that's his pathway to victory. And I could see if he does some of these things and he comes out there, he's going to fight to win. He's going to be a bully if he has to. I would see this fight not going past 8th or maybe 10th round with Ward being stopped by Kovalev.
Combination? I have number 4 combination.
You have combination.
Broccoli,
he's got to throw combinations. I didn't see many punches. 1, 2 maybe, but you got to throw 3, 4, 5. You got to come back. And like I said, he come over the top with a right lead hook, boom, 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 and just he's got to be relentless.
Listen, like the late great Sam Langford used to say, bring your own judges with you. Your left and your right.
That's it. Your left and your right.
And I agree. The bottom line is Kovalev has to be more aggressive. But the one thing, I think, we were talking about this off air yesterday. Kovalev can't show any kind of respect to Ward. He can't.
No.
If he expects to win this fight, he has to show, and he's showing no respect in the press. He's been talking a lot of smack. He's been saying a lot of things, but even with his quote, it said, one of us is going to get knocked out. No, you can't have that little bit of doubt. He's got to be positive. Credit what credit's due. Andre Ward is very confident. And remember one thing, Sal. Andre Ward, I know we're over our break here. We're going to get Dax on in a minute, but the one thing about Andre Ward is a great, and I'm going to say it again, he's a great counterpuncher. And I think that Sergey Kovalev was made well aware of that in camp during the last fight. And I think because of Andre Ward's ability to counterpunch effectively, Sergey Kovalev ended up being a little too much, showing a little too much respect. He's got to let that go away. I don't know, and only Sergey Kovalev knows, if Ward actually hurt him in that fight. Kovalev has been down in the past by flash knockdowns. He's gotten up and recovered and won, of course. But if Andre Ward hurt him at any point, well then he's got to respect him. If he didn't, if Andre Ward did not hurt Kovalev at all, the word respect can't be in Sergey Kovalev's vocabulary, both in the ring. It's certainly not in it out of the ring. But what makes the difference is in the ring, and that's what we're going to find out in another weeks. And there's a lot to it, and I know boxing is mostly mental, but I don't know. Ward has got a very unique calmness going around, similar to when Evander Holyfield fought, and it's confidence, a calm confidence that Andre Ward has.
Yes.
As far as their trainers are concerned, I think John David Jackson is a much better trainer. He's more of a versatile trainer than Virgil Hunter. And, not that that makes a difference in the fight. But what does make a difference, Sal, is the instruction that both fighters receive in between rounds. And so far, I've never heard anything instructional out of Virgil Hunter's mouth. So, if it's all Andre Ward and he doesn't need anybody else except the guy to give him water between rounds, well, that's what he's got with Virgil Hunter. But interesting fight. We both predict Kovalev in the rematch. Will it set up a third fight? I don't know. Hold that thought, Sal, because we're going to take a short break. I'm going to add Dax here and get his thoughts, and the three of us can start our own little circus coming up in about 2 minutes. So don't go nowheres. We'll be right back.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS. Look, I know you want to keep ignoring those letters, but the problem isn't going away. It's really stressful, and you don't know where to turn.
The good news is you have rights, and we can help resolve your IRS problems.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, our qualified CPAs, tax negotiators, and support staff know the law and know how to get your situation under control legally and permanently.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. You wouldn't go to fix your car without going to a mechanic, so why face the IRS without an experienced company that can help you?
Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And, we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. Don't forget about tuning in June 17th, as soon as the conclusion of Adrien Broner, Sergey Kovalev rematch takes place. We will be doing Billy C's Kovalev-Ward post-fight show. And somebody that's going to be joining us with his thoughts is joining Sal and I right now. Dax Khan is with us. What's up, Dax?
Good morning. How's everybody today?
Oh, not too bad, my man. Kovalev-Ward II, Dax. I know before you give us your official prediction, you spent some time on the media call yesterday. Give us a heads up on what took place there.
I'm going to close one thing.
Sal, Sal, can you stop folding papers and stuff? Dax
you heard that?
Dax is trying to talk. Do we have to hang up on you? Come on, Dax. I apologize, man. I mean, geez, come on, Sal. Come on.
Hey, I'm sorry.
I
apologize, Dax.
All right, are you ready, Dax? Go ahead, Dax. Finish, Dax.
That's all right, Sal. Just make sure you get the air conditioner fixed.
You heard that too?
Yes, I did. But anyway, this is they didn't seem, there was a whole different tone with these people than there was leading up to the first fight, Bill. There was everybody just did not seem to have the excitement that they did in the first fight. This more or less kind of seemed like, they were just going through the motions, going, into this call. There was a lot of issues going on there. There was not a lot of big media names on there. The only recognizable media outlets that really took part in the call was Dan Rayfield from ESPN, and they had people on there from Ring TV and the Las Vegas Review. The rest of it was a lot of very small, unrecognizable websites. Kathy Duva, when she was asked on how do you think that this pay-per-view is going to do you think it'd do as well as the first or past it, she was very short and curt with her answer. She kind of deflected it. I don't predict numbers. Rock Nation won the rights to promote this event, so that's on them. So she was not happy with losing the purse bid for this event, first of all. So you can tell that, this is something that more or less they're a little annoyed with, and they kind of, to me, it seems they're going into this feeling already as if something isn't going to go their way.
I kind of got a little of that with some of Kovalev's comments, But Raphael was there. Oh, they must have sent him some lunch or something so he could be part of that. Dan Raphael, a guy that will never pass a buffet by. But that's. Do you think they're using some of that negativity to their advantage, or do you think it's hurting them, Dax?
I just think that more or less what it is that, they don't want to sell this up. There may be a little bit of bitterness about the first fight with the scores. One of the things that really that you could tell about the low quality of this call was that the same question was being asked continuously again and again. I think I counted about 10 times when they asked, Sergey, are you upset with the scoring? Sergey, do you feel you were being robbed? Even Sergey Kovalev, who's usually, when it comes to answering questions, is very cordial. Sergey is a guy of not of a lot of words, but he's very direct with his comments. It even got to the point where when they're asking, well, how do you feel? Do you hate Adrien Ward? And he's like, something, to be honest with you, I don't hate the guy. He doesn't occupy my time. I don't spend all my time thinking about Adrien Ward. And, then they continue asking the same thing again and again. Now, people are saying that Sergey Kovalev has a chip on his shoulder. He's going to be over anxious. They say he's going to cause him to be reckless in this fight. But something, I just think Sergey Kovalev, he just wants to fight. He doesn't want to sell up the fight. I think the last time that, he was a little bit too involved with trying to make this a big, huge event instead of just going in there and doing what Sergey Kovalev is supposed to do. John David Jackson, he said he had it for, I think, 9-3 or maybe 8-4 at the worst for them in their favor, obviously. He thinks that Ward's camp is the one that needs to switch up. They're not going to get away with doing the same tactics they did last time. Somebody you had mentioned, or Sal had mentioned something before about the John David Jackson, Sergey Kovalev having, Adrien Ward has been trying to play some mental games as of late, going around telling people that, Sergey Kovalev and John David Jackson almost came to blows after the first fight and back in the dressing room because Sergey Kovalev was unhappy with the way John David Jackson ran the corner. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but Adrien Ward just recently started coming out and being very vocal about that. All of a sudden, he's a master of mind games, and I just think really a lot of that is aggravating Sergey Kovalev and the team, and they just want to take care of business because never in the past have they been ones to, to talk a lot and go about a lot of build up and shenanigans. And, as the fight draws closer, they just want to stop doing the selling. They don't want to sell. They just want to fight. And Kathy Duva, I can understand her view and her perspective. Rock Nation wanted to promote this so bad. Rock Nation has never promoted a major event. Their company really much relies on Adrien Ward. So you know what? Let it all fall into Rock Nation hands. The pressure is on Rock Nation and Adrien Ward, in my opinion, to win this fight. And they can't just win it. They have to win it in sensational fashion because Adrien Ward is never going to get credit for being the true man of this division unless he wins by sensational fashion, considering the way the first fight went.
Hey, Sal, Adrien Ward, in my opinion, had taken on this, he's better than everyone else kind of an attitude. And what Dax just said may be true in terms of how we look at Adrien Ward and what he needs to do to keep his career, or at least get his career the way people used to look at him when he was a super middleweight, specifically in the Super 6. But I personally think that he doesn't give a rat's ass about what people think, and that all he cares about is winning. He'll spin it in his favor. What do you think? Do you think that this is a guy that, his main goal is just to win? I mean, does he really care about what people think? And do you think that, some of the discussion Dax is saying about Rock Nation winning the purse bid, one of the big knocks I've always given on Ward is he can't draw. He does not draw well. Even in his own town, his hometown, he doesn't draw well. This is a guy that most people don't want to go see. What's your thoughts?
I think you're right. And, he's not the crowd favorite that are going to have people come out of the woodwork to come and see him on a lot of levels. And, I think their first fight should be enough to have the boxing fan want to see a second fight in return with the anticipation of seeing something good or something true happen and see what's going to happen. And I also think that, like I said, Adrien Ward's got a feel in his heart of hearts that he had some lady luck or something in his corner that night. Because I think he knows that that fight was a lot closer than 3 judges giving it a unanimous decision to him. So he got lucky. I think he knows that, and his heart of hearts. And Kovalev, if there's stuff coming from his corner, like I said, he's got to feel dominant. He's got to believe in himself, and he's got to go out there and fight and be a bully and take that fight and not let it go to the judges' cards. And that's it. But Adrien Ward. he's an elitist in his mind. He's not going to want to fall into the trap of he really, to answer your original question, I don't think he does care too much about what media or what people think. He just wants to go out there and win. So on a positive note, that's what fighters should do. But on another note, you always like to be looked upon favorably as well from your fans and other people.
I've been trying to date Lady Luck for a long time, Dax, and she never comes
overrated.
to me. But no. Hey, Dax, what's going on with these accusations about Andre Ward and performance-enhancing drugs? I personally, you're Mr. Social Media for us, and it's flown under my radar, and he seemed to make that a topic of the discussion yesterday on the media call. What's that about?
That's just Andre Ward trying to play mind games. That's all that Andre Ward has suddenly decided that, he's going to be this guy who's this master of mind games. And, it's really not working out well for him because, when he says it, you can tell he's reaching. He's bringing up stuff that there's no reason to even talk about. And Andre Ward, even in the 24/7s, leading up to the first fight, it was continuous about, his rough childhood. And it was continuous about the relationship with him and Virgil Hunter. It's all great, but something, they're just like really trying to sell Andre Ward a little bit too hard. And that's a mistake that Rock Nation is making. Because, when you're having close fights like this and you're shoving things like that down people's throat and you're coming up with stuff, you are purposely bringing that stuff up to try and create a little bit of more or less tabloid type media to get people talking about something that's not there. There's no reason for it. Just go into the ring and perform. The first fight did very horrible in their pay-per-view numbers. It was, and much of that you have to blame on Andre Ward. And I don't believe that this fight is going to do any better. In fact, I think it's going to do worse in the pay-per-view numbers because Rock Nation is putting it on. There's some fights on the undercard, that were made horribly that they could have made different guys against, keep the same guys on that card, but put them in against each other, and kind of made this undercard a little bit better because a lot of people are, are a little bit discouraged already before the fight even starts, and that includes the Kovalev camp, as stated before. Andre Ward seems to be upset, in my opinion, that he's not getting credit for his win because it was a very close fight. Whether you want to call it a robbery or just say, it could have gone either way, that doesn't matter. But, Andre Ward, in his mind, in his heart of hearts, it appears that, he should be given credit, and he's upset that people even considered the fact this fight might be close. The fact of Sergey Kovalev, he speaks about he overtrained for the first fight. Ray Mancini, who is one of the few guys who happened to come out and say, that's very possible. And he stated that he's done that before in his career. Kovalev, I think he's going to go in there, and he's just not this time. And in his own words, he said he gave Andre Ward too much respect the last fight. He actually thought Andre Ward was going to be a lot better than what he was. And you hit something on when you said, he has to be a little bit rough and a little bit dirty. Andre Ward is a little bit dirty. Not that he's a dirty fighter, but he has some dirty tricks to him. And something, guys that are boxers like that have those little bit of dirty tricks, you got to be a bully. And Andre Ward, again, keeps calling Sergey Kovalev the bully to kind of deflect from those type of tactics that he has. Something, to be a bully, when you call somebody a bully, you are a bully more or less, and, Kovalev has to go in there and just be the bully and not worry about the judges and what they're going to say. The judges for this fight, I believe, is Glenn Feldman, Dave Moretti, and Steve Weisfeld. Weisfeld has been a judge in the past for Sergey Kovalev on quite a few bouts, never for Andre Ward. Glenn Feldman has been a judge for both fighters in the past, so it's not like they're not dealing with judges they've never been with before. Kovalev doesn't seem bothered with the fact that there's no international judges. He was asked that a few times. He said that doesn't matter. The rematch, why do they keep talking about, and Ward's team, Andre is better in rematch. He's more dominant. I don't remember these rematches that Andre has ever had. Sergey Kovalev, though, against Darnell Boone, the guy who gave him a split decision, he came back and he just dominated and stopped Darnell Boone. Darnell Boone knocked down Andre Ward. He wasn't given a rematch. John Pascal, Sergey Kovalev stopped him around earlier in the rematch than he did in the first match. So it seems to me that Sergey Kovalev is the guy who's better in the rematches because I don't remember Andre Ward having any rematches. So, again, the pressure is all on Andre Ward. And something, he may fold in that because of the fact that he has a lot riding betting on it. And unless Andre Ward wins this fight, you know something, he's not going to be a marketable guy again. He hasn't really been marketable in the first place. His highlight was the Super 6. And at light heavyweight, there's a lot of stars, and there's even a couple guys on this card that's going to be coming after Andre Ward sooner than later. And Andre Ward is not going to be able to sit on those titles and live off of his accomplishments anymore. Those days are done.
You know, one of the things that both you guys mentioned, and myself as well, you know, Ward doesn't draw. You know, the pay-per-view numbers were bad in the last one, and I agree with you, Dax. I don't think they're going to be very good this time. I mean, you could make the argument that, you know, Kovalev is the reason for that, as well as Ward. I think the combination of both of them, it is a big fight, but it is flying under the radar. Like all of Andre Ward's fights, except for the Super 6, I think Rock Nation has their whole promotional company on the line for this fight. They put all their eggs in one basket with Andre Ward. They lost Miguel Cotto. They, signed the two biggest divas in boxing, and they're stuck with Andre Ward. Maybe the best thing for them is for Ward to lose. I don't know. Maybe it'll give them a chance to build up some of the young fighters. Maybe this is their last hurrah. Maybe it's their last shot. I don't know. Dax, what's your official prediction? How do you see this fight going?
I see this fight being, early on, I see Sergey Kovalev coming out and trying to make Andre Ward respect him. I think Andre Ward is going to come out there and try to make a statement of his own and say, you know what, I can stand toe-to-toe with you. But I think Sergey Kovalev and John David Jackson are expecting that. You know, there's really not much more they can do. They have shown that Sergey Kovalev can box with Andre Ward. The only thing they need to do is close that distance and not let Andre Ward move around the ring. As you stated before, he followed Andre Ward instead of cutting the ring off, and that's going to be the difference. There was one comment that kind of gave a little bit of a hint on what they're going to do, and that comment was that Andre Ward is going to have to let his hands go in this fight. And when he does, he's risking himself being caught with a counter. Andre Ward has to play Russian roulette. So that more or less tells me that they're going to make Andre Ward stand, trade, fight on the inside, where Andre Ward really isn't all that comfortable. And the best that he does is he holds and he waits for the referee to break him up. And, you know, he kind of uses his head a little bit on the inside. So I think John David Jackson is ready for all that.
Who's the referee?
And I think Kovalev is going to win.
Who's the referee?
The referee on this, I think Tony Weeks, isn't he?
You know, Tony? I don't know.
I could be wrong.
I can't remember, but wasn't Tony Weeks the ref for the last one?
You know what? I don't know.
You know,
off the top of my head, I can't remember.
You know, to tell you the truth, I think the referee is going to be an important part of this fight.
I'm pretty sure Tony Weeks is the referee for this fight, and I think the last one Robert Byrd was the referee for that last fight.
You know, I don't mind. Robert Byrd lets them fight. Robert Byrd let them fight, you know. So, yeah, I hope that Tony Weeks, sometimes he's good and sometimes he's not. I just don't want – I want it to be a fair fight. I want it to be a fight that both fighters get an opportunity to fight. You know, we had an email earlier, you know, with infighting and body work and everything else, and a lot of referees prevent that from happening. You also mentioned the three judges. You know, Sal made a great point earlier about having, an international judge. Mainly his point was, a judge that, is non-biased, and we don't have that here. In the United States, the local commission picks the judges. Over in Europe, it's the other way around. The sanctioning body does. So it'll be interesting to see. Steve Weisfield sometimes has some crazy scores. And Dave Moretti, a guy I know personally, and normally I think he does a great job. I think he was one of the judges for the first fight, wasn't he?
Moretti was... That I can't remember, to be honest with you. I don't think he was a judge for the first fight.
Yeah, well, Moretti sometimes is good, but recently I've seen some crazy scorecards put in by him as well. So, I just want the fight in the fighter's hands. I don't want the referee. Thank God we got a referee in Tony Weeks that, he's not a camera hog. He's one of the better referees when it comes to that. He's not trying to, come up with his coined phrase and all that other stuff. So at least we'll have that. I just hope he lets the guys fight, you know. So your official prediction is who, Dax?
I'm gonna go with Kovalev in this one. I think he's gonna fight smarter, and the only thing that, barring some sort of crazy scores, I think that Kovalev is gonna win this one. But there's not gonna be a third fight. So no matter who wins this one, there is no third fight. So it makes you wonder exactly what's going to happen inside the boxing universe. Now the undercard is something that's very interesting, though.
Before you get into that, we got a couple minutes. Why do you say there won't be a third fight? Because it should, in the event that Kovalev wins, why wouldn't Ward want to fight him again?
Kathy Duva said there is no third fight. There's no rematch clause in there, and they win, lose, or draw, they won't fight again because they're washing their hands of it more or less.
Well, because Ward is so hard to deal with. This is the issue with Andre Ward. Andre Ward has no business acting the way he does. He really doesn't. He's not as good. I mean, I shouldn't say that because he's a great fighter. He is a great fighter. But the way he acts and the way he is to deal, I don't know how Rock Nation can even deal with him. And that's going to eventually hurt him if it hasn't already. But interesting, because you would think that if Kovalev wins this fight, Andre Ward would want it. But then again, Dax, Andre Ward got more money in the first one. He got to dictate the rules in the first one, and he's dictating them again in this one. So I could see where Main Events is saying, forget about you.
Well, Ward is, again, he's a sensational fighter. But, yeah, he is very hard to deal with. And I've never talked to any promoters or any opponents that have ever said, they never had a hard time dealing with him ever since the Super 6. Prior to them, remember, nobody really knew who Andre Ward was. He wasn't even the favorite going into that. But, Andre Ward is a guy, what irritates me about him outside the ring is he's a phony. He smiles, he talks about what a great guy he is, but then, you see the stuff that takes place and you hear the stories and you kind of get that little attitude from him. He's the type of guy that, you worry about him shaking your hand, then when you turn around, you got to worry about him kicking you in the ass, more or less. And that's the type of guy he is, and it's kind of annoying. And, he just has an annoying personality in general. If you're going to be a jerk, be a jerk. Be a jerk up front, and you know what? Don't hide it. If you're going to be a nice guy, be a nice guy. But something, you can't be both. And when you're both, you make it a hard guy to trust. And Andre Ward seems to be showing again and again he's a hard guy to deal with, and that makes him a hard guy to trust.
Dax, you got about a minute. Give us a quick rundown of the undercard.
The undercard, Bakram Muzatilov, the middleweight, he's going in against Gerald Sherrill. That's a fight that, Bakram, I don't know if anybody's ever seen him. He was on the undercard of Kovalev Chilemba. I don't think that part was televised. I have seen footage of him, and I had a promoter footage of him about a year and a half ago. He's a sensational fighter. He's a knockout artist. Vaughn Alexander is going to be going in against Fabio Pina, and Vaughn Alexander and Bakram should have been facing each other. That would have been great for this card because it would have been one of those things, two guys that are undefeated. You're going to get rid of the pretender and bring us a contender. Tremaine Williams versus Christopher Martin. Tremaine Williams doesn't have a lot of power, but he's a sensational boxer. He should give Christopher Martin a boxing lesson, and that's going to be a fight that is good for the purist. Rigondeaux against Moises Flores. There's another guy that, Rigondeaux, due to his inactivity, I think Moises Flores is going to win this, and that's going to be another blow for Rock Nation. You have some good guys on there, a lot of young guys. Junior Yonan is only 21. Tremaine Williams, 24. Dimitri Bivol against Cedric Agnew. Bivol's one of those guys I keep talking about, stating he's one of these fellas that down the road he's going to be coming after whoever wins this fight. He's going to be one of those futures of the division. He's a killer. He can box. He's going to make an example out of Cedric Agnew. And I think Sergey Kovalev would fight him right away. Andre Ward, once he sees Bivol in action up close, he's going to think twice, and that might send him into hiatus. Junior Yonan, again, I think 21, he's another sensational light heavyweight. So the undercard is sensational, and they're not pushing these young guys hard enough, and they should because, like you stated before, the main event isn't getting a lot of attention. So I think on this night we're going to see a couple careers just go all the way down. We're going to see some stars really fade, and we might see a few stars start out. And, this event is on Rock Nation to succeed or to fail, and this is on Andre Ward, whether or not he remains relevant, even if he wins. A horrible performance is going to really just make him, everybody's going to write him off. And as for Sergey Kovalev, if things don't go his way, I wouldn't be surprised that Sergey Kovalev, if these scorecards are unfair, he takes it over to Europe where, things are a little bit more fair. You can get a little bit more respect, and as you stated, you can get a better shake on the hands.
Hey, Dax, great job, and we'll look forward to you when we come back to do our Ward-Kovalev post-fight show, and we'll be in touch before then, I'm sure.
Absolutely, everybody. Enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, and just fights on tonight, too, so make sure you watch those.
All right, my man. That's Dax Khan. You can check him out. We got a column. He's got a column up on Billy C. Boxing. Sal and I are going to take a quick little break. When we come back, we'll finish up our conversation based on some stuff that Dax just mentioned and our final thoughts on Ward Kovalev. And I got a couple other little tidbits I'm going to throw at my man Sal when we come back in 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Are you?
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And don't forget, we are going to be off now until we do our Ward Kovalev II post-fight show. So make sure you tune it in as soon as that fight is over, right here where you're watching us right now. And speaking of now, I'm here with my man Sal Rocky Cenicola. Dax made some interesting points and filled us in on what seems to be going on in the background. What's your take?
He did, and Dax always has a great assessment of what's going on. And I'll tell you what, Billy, I don't know if it was Kathy Duva or if it was Kovalev himself, but I would have insisted after that first fight, you had 3 domestic to the United States judges, all unanimously giving it to Andre Ward. And I said that night on our post-fight, there was no international judges, and I would hope to see at least one in the next fight. So why? Do they know something I don't know, or you don't know? And do they feel that confident they're going to stop Ward and not going to leave it to the judges? But, I cannot believe there's not going to be an international judge at this fight.
Yeah, it seems strange, but you know what? That's what happens in the States. I mean, they dictate, what's what in the sport. But anyway, the undercard is good, but normally and through my experience in the sport, as well as some of the undercards have been in the past for shows, throughout the history of the sport. The main event is what's selling. I don't know anybody that's gonna buy a pay-per-view event because of an undercard. I think the undercard is also, what do you like to say, the fluff, but
it's the fluff before the stuff.
Yeah, so but anyway, hey, I got some other news I wanted to talk to you about real quick.
Okay.
Juan Manuel Marquez. You remember Juan Manuel Marquez, right?
Which one?
Juan Manuel Marquez.
Okay.
He's refused to fight Manny Pacquiao in a rematch. He knocked out Manny Pacquiao devastatingly, and has been waiting for a big fight, and retired, and wants to come back. And I think he kind of made a mistake with not taking the Pacquiao fight, but nonetheless, he was in training, and there's a lot of rumor about him and Miguel Cotto fighting again. Well, an injury has delayed his official comeback. He's over 40. I think he's 41 or 42 right now. And Sal, not only are you significantly older than that, but when you're making a comeback, especially after a delay in time, and obviously, your delay in time was, a quarter of a century. But in this particular case, isn't the body the biggest problem? Isn't that the first opponent that you got to deal with? And injuries, once you start to age, whether you're an athlete or not, you're more prone to injury. Is this going to, curb his comeback talk?
Well, you're so right on so many levels. One thing is you have an aging body. Two, you got to prepare your mind. I knew I could count on my emotional recall, imagery training, everything else. I put myself in a mind frame that it wasn't 25 years since my last fight. It was just a 3-month layoff. And that's how I approached this. And I knew I would have to be on that same page. And yes, I completely tore and ripped my rotator cuff before the fight. And if the boxing commissioners knew about it, I would have not been allowed to fight. I had to keep that secret. That's why I did not have a right hand the way I should have. But the bottom line is, I fought, I won, I still got it done. Yes, what happens is when you age, sometimes your muscle tissue is still stronger than the insertion tissue or connective tissue, such as your ligaments, your tendons. And that's why you'll see a lot of times, you'll see older guys, they'll have dropped biceps because their tendons or ligaments in their shoulders have ripped or torn. They come up with a Popeye syndrome, if you will, sometimes like that. But the bottom line is, yes, you've got to be careful. You've got to stretch every day. You cannot be, from the get-go, explosive. You've got to work yourself up to that, and you've got to be able to get the body in sync with the mind to be effective and strong and make it bulletproof again. Even when I noticed, when I was sparring, when I was a young buck, I was bulletproof. You couldn't penetrate. My body was solid, was hard, it was a rock. And the same thing, I tried to get it in that condition, and it was as close as I could, but it was not the same. So you have to take this all into consideration. So you have to be able to block certain punches. You have to be able to withstand and anticipate that the punches are going to be a little more meaningful at this stage of the game. But you also have to be able to, like I always say, if you're afraid to lose, you're going to be afraid to win. You got to go out there with the mind ready to go. It wasn't a long layoff. You're right back in the mix, and you got to take your time, get the body strong and durable and penetrating the opponent's offense and being able to take the blows and everything else. That's what you got to do. Got to go get yourself mentally and physically over a period of time back into the fighting shape that you could do for yourself.
Unfortunately, Father Time a lot of times intervenes and prevents you from doing that, and maybe that's what's going to happen to Juan Manuel Marquez. Cotto,
very well could.
Yeah, Cotto. It's not that he's been so busy, but he has been busier than Juan Manuel Marquez. One last thing I wanted to mention, Sal. Lou DiBella of DiBella Entertainment won the purse bid between Turrier for the fight. It's a IBF elimination fight between Turriano Johnson and Derevyanchenko, Sergey Derevyanchenko. The reason why I'm bringing this up, normally, hey, the fight is the fight, and this isn't about the promoter, but I'm constantly in discussions with people, and the misconception about how much money fighters make, and all these these quote elimination fights, what people don't realize is that it's a way a sanctioning fee is making some money. They charge a fee for these eliminations because theoretically the winner of these fights go on to fight the champion in the respective division. Now this fight happens to be in the middleweight division for the IBF World Middleweight title, which will be on the line when Triple G and Canelo fight. But nonetheless, here's how it panned out. There were only two bidders for this fight, Golden Boy Promotions and DiBella Entertainment. And Golden Boy bid $62,000 for this fight, $62,000. And DiBella won the bid with a bid of $121,002.
Wow.
All right. So they won that purse bid by basically twice as much as the Golden Boy bid. So that tells me that Golden Boy was just throwing a bid in just to say they threw a bid in. But when it comes push to shove, Sal, $121,000 for a middleweight elimination fight between two pretty good middleweights seems a little low to me, because the purse split, according to IBF rules for elimination fights, is 50-50. So theoretically, these fighters are looking at making $60,000 a piece before their training expenses and all the hands in the cookie jar. I would think that a fight, especially between two experienced guys like Derevyanchenko and Turriano Johnson, should make a little bit more than that. What's your quick thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with you. I think they probably should get $100,000 each. We'll see, but it is what it is, and people don't realize it. Yes, you can make a lot of money in a fight game if you're in that top upper echelon. But you know what? When you whittle away $100,000, let's look at $100,000 or $1 million. It just matters. The zeros are what matters. So if you even have $100,000, 10% off the top to the trainer. Then you got 33 1/3 to the manager. Then you got your training expenses. Then you have this taken away. Then you have this deducted.
Sparring
and
partners.
Then, guess what? You got taxes too.
Don't forget about sparring partners.
Sparring partners. You're paying $500, $1,000 a week, $800 a week, depending on the level. So you got your training camp. Guess what? That comes from your purse too. And you have a lot of expenses. And you've got to pay Uncle Sam, capital gains maybe, or whatever it might be. You're going to pay about 50%, not on what you did as far as paying out, off the top, and then they're going to use the deduction. So yeah, if you're going to take $100,000 purse, you're lucky if you can put in your pocket $30,000, maybe 40. I doubt it. We'll see.
Well, I hope these two guys end up with more money than what the purse bid was for. I know Lou DiBella isn't going to be throwing them extra money, but hopefully they will. But hey, listen, on this day in boxing history, June 8th, in 1963, Sal, Emil Griffith wins a 15-round decision over Luis Rodriguez to win the world welterweight title. It took place at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Don't forget, Emil Griffith also won titles in the junior middleweight division, and he fought at middleweight too. So this was when he won the welterweight title, 1963. And on this day in 1985, Barry McGuigan wins a 15-round decision over Eusebio Pedrosa to win the WBA featherweight title. Took place in London. On this day in 1933, Jack Dempsey. The winner. That's right. It's the answer. Jack Dempsey promotes his first big event that saw almost 60,000 people pack into Yankee Stadium to see. And this fight, a lot of people forget that he was the promoter, but they packed in the Yankee Stadium to see Max Baer fight Max Schmeling, the Battle of the Maxes in the 10th.
I have that poster.
In the
You're
10
going to see it
round,
hanging in my restaurant next week.
There you go. In the 10th round of a scheduled 15-round heavyweight fight, Max Baer stopped Schmeling, I should say. The fight was a great one, ending actually as Ring Magazine's Fight of the Year in 1933. It earned that title. So Jack Dempsey did well in the ring and as a promoter, too. On this day in 1911, Billy Papp knocks out Jim Sullivan in the 9th round to win the British World Middleweight title. It took place at the Palladium in London. And on this day, June 8th in 2002, Lennox Lewis knocks out my man Mike Tyson in the 8th round to retain his WBC, IBF, and IBO World Heavyweight titles in Tennessee. If you remember, Tennessee was the only place that would take the fight. Mike Tyson and him, they had the big plexiglass thing up to divide him. It was when Mike bit him in the leg and all that stuff. Tyson would fight 3 more times over a 3-year period, winning by knockout against Clifford Ennington, and in 2003, that fight in 2003, and then he lost by knockout to Danny Williams, which was a kind of a over-the-hill fighter, and Kevin McBride, who never amounted to anything in 2004 and 2005, respectively. Lewis would retire as a world champion in 2003 with a Hall of Fame career record of 41 wins, 32 by knockout, 2 losses, 1 by knockout, and 1 draw. And Lewis, yes, he was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2009. Hey, Sal, I'm really looking forward to coming down and doing our project together this next week, and of course eating at your restaurant. So I'm looking forward to some good things, my man.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to serving you and having you join me here, and we're going to do some great things next week, Billy. I'm really excited about it.
Well, you're not going to be spending that much time at the restaurant, brother, because we got a lot of work to do. So
we got a lot of work to do.
I hope you're ready for that. You better
getting coverage.
You better get the coverage. But anyway, hey, listen, boys and girls, make sure you tune in right here after the Ward Kovalev rematch for our Billy C. Ward post-fight show. Until then, I'll leave you with this.